Hello everyone! Round 5 of the World Cup 2017 in Tbilisi, Georgia just finished, and all the games ended in a draw, except one encounter, Levan Armenian versus Vassily Ivanchuk. This game had quite a decisive result, as it ended in a miniature in 24 moves. And well, Levan Armenian did have a pretty good year. He won pretty much every major tournament he competed in. Last year was also really good for Armenian. And well, this was a real challenge for Ivanchuk, facing such a strong, a 2800 plus player. So let's see this game. Levan Armenian is playing with the white pieces, and Ivanchuk is black in this game. We have c4, e6, g3, d5, and the bishop to g2. So this is the English opening. And well, black does have a number of options here. He can go knight to c6, knight to f6, he can even push d4, but Ivanchuk decided to play d captures on c4. We have queen to a4 check by Armenian, immediately going for that c4 pawn. We have c6, and the queen captures on c4. And Ivanchuk plays a b5. And this is gaining space on the queen side. The downside is that, well, this powerful bishop is now eyeing this c6 pawn, and there's a rook on a8 behind it. Queen c2 by Armenian, and now bishop to b7. We have knight to f3, knight to d7, knight to c3, and rook to c8. We have castles by Armenian, and we have a6 by Ivanchuk. d4, and Ivanchuk here plays c5. And well, Ivanchuk has spent already 10 moves developing his queen side, and this does seem to solve the problem of this light square bishop. Now it's developed, he managed to push c5, there's a rook on c8, everything seems ideal. But there's one problem. His king is still on e8, and he hasn't developed any of his kingside pieces. And of course, Armenian decides to take advantage of this. He plays d5. Well, the threat is d captures on e6, and this would be very annoying for black. So we have e captures on d5 by Ivanchuk, and now knight to h4. He opens up the attack from this bishop on g2 to this pawn on d5. So Ivanchuk defends this. He plays knight d to f6. And here we have rook to d1, and well, he's attacking this pawn 3 times now, and well, there's a little point in defending it with knight to e7, as this would, well, your king isn't going anywhere from the middle of the board, and bishop to g5 solves all of white's problems. He will eliminate this knight on f6, and this is much better for white. So after this rook to d1 idea, Ivanchuk played g6. And here we have knight captures on d5, we have knight captures on d5, and now e4. And of course this knight is pinned now, there's a rook on d1. We have bishop to g7, Ivanchuk is trying to develop and get his king to safety. E captures on d5, we have knight to f6, and queen to e2 check. And Armenian doesn't allow Ivanchuk to castle, as he did leave his king in the middle of the board a bit too long. Here Ivanchuk plays king to f8, but king to e7 isn't really possible, trying to go for the exchange of queens, because simply queen captures on e7, king captures on e7, and this d6 check move wins this bishop on b7. So after queen to e2 check, Ivanchuk played king to f8. And we have a4. Armenian wants to break this pawn structure Ivanchuk spent 10 moves creating on the queen side. We have b4 and bishop to e3. Now Armenian will focus his pieces on attacking this c5 pawn, as it is a backwards a c5 pawn. So we have queen to d6, now defending this pawn. We have rook a to c1, so this doesn't allow any c4 ideas anymore. We have knight to d7, adding more protection to the c5 pawn. And now, well, Armenian's pieces are all pretty much ideally placed. This bishop on g2 is very strong. He's very influential, adding all the needed protection to this d5 pawn. Both rooks are on ideal files. The queen is pretty good on e2. There's only this knight on h4 not really doing anything, so the plan is pretty simple. This knight is coming either to c4 or to e4, depending on what Ivanchuk plays. So knight to f3, We have h6. Ivanchuk is creating some breathing space for his king, so he's preparing a maneuver like king to g8, king to h7, and will try to get his rook into the game, and well, somehow castle artificially. We have knight to d2, preparing either knight c4 or knight e4, and we have king to g8 by Ivanchuk. He really wants to go to that h7 square. And now Armenian plays knight to e4. Here Ivanchuk goes queen to f8, and well, in this position, this is move 24, Armenian played d6, and it's in this position that Ivanchuk resigned the game. And Armenian played this game extremely quickly. In this position, Armenian was left with almost 1 full hour on his clock. It was 59 minutes and some seconds. And Ivanchuk was down to, I believe it was 10 or 11 minutes. So why did Ivanchuk resign here? Well, the problem is, how do you defend this c5 pawn? The threat, of course, is knight captures on c5. And well, you do have to stop this somehow if you don't want to give up this pawn. You can capture this knight on e4, but if you play bishop captures on e4 and bishop captures on e4, now white has this very annoying threat of bishop to b7, attacking the rook and this pawn on a6, and this will create a very powerful pass pawn on a4. So if something like a5 is played to stop this, again bishop to b7 is completely crushing, as well, the rook has to move, and after this, if the rook attacks the bishop here, then the bishop can move and attack the knight, and this will remove the defender of the c5 pawn. And if the rook moves to d8, for example, then simply, if rook d8, then simply capturing the pawn is winning for white, as these pawns will soon follow, and this is a very strong pawn on d6. And after d6, black can't really defend it either with bishop to d4. Trying to defend this way, as knight captures on c5 is again winning for white. For example, if bishop captures on c5, bishop captures on b7. And now this is with a tempo on the rook. After rook to e8, now this bishop on e3 is pinned. Bishop captures on a6, and well, now this passed a pawn is beautiful. So yeah. After this 24th move, after Armenian played the d6, Ivanchuk resigned the game, and tomorrow Ivanchuk will get his chance for a rematch with the black pieces, but we've seen against Kramnik that Ivanchuk doesn't have a problem playing with the black pieces against the 2800 player. So yeah, and one other interesting thing about this game, Armenian managed to play the entire game with the white pieces without playing the move h4. So this is well, almost a novelty for him, as h4 kind of became his signature move. So yeah, this is the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. I will probably upload tomorrow's game as well. So we'll see how it goes. And yeah, thank you all for watching. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. And I will see you soon.